So hi folks, Alex Forrest vlogging to you from a rather wet and wintry January's morning in Warsaw, Poland. I actually feel like it's just classic mild, damp, drizzly British weather. It's January and you have made it. Yes, give yourself a congratulatory pat on the back because you've made it through that wintry, bluesy Christmas period, and that's actually quite a tough period. I find it quite difficult. Family, you kind of like, you feel a little bit like you've stepped into a teleport machine and you're back to how you were age 13 or 8 with your mother telling you to turn the lights off or to do some chores around the house, and you pissing off your sisters and treading on an odd mine or two with relatives. And actually it can feel a little bit like, I think this is probably the truth of Christmas and New Year period, particularly if you're an older dude, that you are sort of like, what you realise is you've got an imaginary kind of image of perfection, like particularly if you're into this stuff about how you act and operate as, you know, the ideal alpha male, and you take a bit of a tumble because you discover that unfortunately your sisters and your mother and your cousins and your relatives haven't read the script. Basically, it can be a little bit of a downer this period. What is the cure? I hear you cry. Well, no. It's not checking in with your psychotherapist or your life coach and spending hours and basically throwing good money down the drain, navel gazing in order to basically fan the flames of your childhood neuroses. Is it, I don't know, making a New Year's resolution to hit the gym twice a week and get your, you know, your physique sorted out? No, it's not. You can be as fat and ugly as you like. It is actually quite a small percentage as far as girls are concerned in terms of pressing their attraction figures is actually down to your shape and size. Thank God. Is it sitting down on the sofa and binge watching Netflix TV shows? Well, nothing wrong with binge watching Netflix TV shows, particularly when it's a bluesy and dull and, you know, the evenings come in that much earlier. But it ain't the cure. Yeah? Is it talking to buddies, staring into the bottom of your pint glass and bemoaning the woeful state of your love life? Well, sometimes, and actually, you know, men don't do enough of that. They don't chat about, you know, how to get out there and how to meet and approach and date girls. I mean, we talk enough about, you know, how to improve your golf swing or, you know, how to build a career. Why don't you, next time you are down the pub, talk to your mates about your love life? The right mates, though, the right buddies. So anyway, it's not any of those things. You know the answer, don't you? Yeah? The answer is, and this is the solution, this is the cure, the ultimate fix-it to most, if not all, problems on the dating and mating front. Approach girls. Yeah? Date girls. You don't have to close a number and drag her back to your cave and make love sweet love. Just the act of actually getting out there, getting out of your head and striking up a conversation with an attractive girl, you will not believe what a fabulous tonic it is to those winter blues. In fact, that's what I've been doing this morning. I've just been working in a coffee shop and I saw an attractive girl come in and I went up to her and I struck a conversation. It was absolutely fantastic. Today I'm going to talk about preparations, the start of a new year. You may be an older dude and you are quite rightly asking the question, well, this all sounds great, this approaching, daytime approach and dating stuff, but there's a lot of bloody work involved, isn't there? I mean, I've got a huge sort of investment of my time ahead of me, perhaps even a financial investment ahead of me. Buy my books, you bastards. 52 First Dates, part 12 will be out shortly, next couple of weeks. So, you know, I think it's quite right to ask the question. I think you really should before you embark on any sort of endeavour in life, because you have got to, prepare the ground. you have got to clear a little bit of your year diary, because this is like any other pursuit. Perhaps it's the king of all endeavours, because I think this is probably, mastering this stuff is just about as hard as climbing Mount Everest. I mean, thousands of people climb Everest every other day, but not that many dudes actually really commit to mastering their relationships with the fairer sex. So this video will touch on the key areas which can help you, get properly prepped up and properly committed to embarking on mastering this area of your life. At the very end of the vlog, I'm going to give you a cheeky little special tip as to how you can actually kind of give real traction to the plan that you need to be laying out over the next year or 18 months to master this area of your life. You may just have stumbled on this stuff. You may have flirted with daytime approach. You're not really properly committed. Now, I'm going to hold out the Holy Grail. Ultimately, and this is something that's really very inspiring for me, for all you dudes out there, you want to be in a position where if you see an attractive girl in any situation during the course of the day or the evening, you have the skills, the equipment to actually go up and strike up a conversation and get to know her better, and potentially take her out on a date and make her your girlfriend. That's why you're following this stuff. That's why you're tuned into these crazy YouTubers. That's what you want. So keep an eye on the prize. And that's something that I just, in very recent, crazy Polish lady blundering past me. Nice jacket, but I don't know, probably a little bit outside my age bracket, the sort of girl that you get on Tinder if you're an older dude. Avoid Tinder if you're an older dude and you're not extremely good looking. So that's the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is to be able to do this stuff in a natural way. And I'm starting to just flirt. I sort of go through phases where I just feel that the skills now are so embedded that I, like this morning, in the case of the girl in the coffee shop, I can approach them naturally. And there's nothing more magical than that. And it's the spontaneity that's so beautiful. Once you have mastered the skills, you can make it a natural part of your life and never need to log on to a Match.com profile again. Okay, so however, particularly if you're starting out, you are going to have to be a bit mechanical about it. You're going to have to be a proper guy. You're going to have to, put in the hours, and at times it's going to be robotic, it's going to feel weird, it's going to feel clunky, but just grab your gonads, you bastards, and just go, that's the prize, just keep on going, just keep on going, and a plan will help you to do that. Okay, so the first thing I think is, do you do an immersion? Do you kind of take 3 months out, travel the world and approach girls in lots of different cities in order to learn these skills? Now, yes, you can do that if you're a younger dude, if you're at university, or if you're an older dude and you're well enough off to do that. That can work, and that's kind of a magical way of doing it. It's a fantastic way of doing it. But you do need a lot of time, and you do need a lot of money to be able to do that. And for most dudes, that's not actually the most realistic path. The path that I recommend, and the one that I've followed, is to simply build it into your life on a routine and regular basis. I mean, look, I referred to going down the gym earlier. It is a little bit like going down to the gym. You would never expect to, get buff and fit just by going down the gym once a week or a few times a month. And nor would you probably think, well, I'm just going to absolutely crush it for 3 months and turn myself into Arnold Schwarzenegger, and bingo, that's going to be it. That is probably not the way life works. So I recommend you building a routine into your life. Now, this takes me on to the time of day when you do it, how you do build it into your daily routine. And I'm going to assume that you are perhaps a more mature dude, you've got a regular job, and you want to know how to go about it. Now, the way I went about it when I first started this stuff, I'm a lawyer, I've been running a law firm for the last 5 years, is basically to commit to going out 2 to 3 times a week for the first 18 months. You're going to have some breaks, you're going to take a few weeks off when you don't do any of this stuff because it just gets all a bit too much. But on the whole, you want to build that sort of plan into an 18-month period. I think is a good period. You are going to commit to yourself by saying, look, I'll go out on a Thursday and I'll go out on a Saturday and a Sunday for perhaps longer sessions. Or I'll go out a couple of times a week, and then on Saturday I'll go crazy and have a lot of fun and perhaps find a wingman to go out with. Now, the times of day I think are quite critical, and you don't need to sacrifice time in your regular life. Indeed, as I say, think of it like going to the gym or going for a good walk. It costs absolutely nothing. So, for example, you can go out over lunchtime. If you're living in a city, that's often a very busy time and a great time to approach girls. Don't go for a sit-down lunch. Grab a sandwich, take 15 minutes, grab a sandwich and a coffee, and then go for a 45-minute walk. Now, if you don't think that's long enough, then go out in the evening. Rush hour is absolutely magical time when the streets are full with people. So, go out between 5:30 and 6:30. You may, for example, because I run my own business, the pattern that I chose was to go out twice a week at about 3 or 4 o'clock, sometimes running it a little later into the rush hour, to have a good breakfast or a good brunch, work hard, and then I often literally used to drag myself away and I just used to say to myself, I'm just going to go for a walk, look at what's out there, say hello to the female population of the world, perhaps pay a compliment to a girl, and if I've been out for an hour, perhaps an hour and a half, come back to my desk and I've just said hello to one girl, that's all that I needed to have achieved. Don't set the bar too high. Don't be telling yourself you've got to close 3, 4, numbers in the session, at least not initially. Yeah, just be kind on yourself and be realistic about what can be achieved. Build in the sessions, make sure you're on the field of play, and then let the universe take care of everything else, because what you'll discover is, once you are out having that walk and you do see an attractive girl, you're like, eventually, it may take a few sessions, you're like, oh, I might as well run across the street and say hello to that girl. Bang, good for you. Do it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times if you're on a roll. If you go for a whole hour or a whole hour and a half and you don't approach anybody, still give yourself a pat on the back. You've been out, you've got some fresh air, you've had some exercise, it's cost you absolutely nothing, and when you come back to your desk and your work, it will still be there. Work never goes away. It's like a vacuum. It just will consume you. Men are very bad at dragging themselves away from their work, because we love the idea of being workaholics, because we're achievement and result driven, and we justify our existence and identify success with just working bloody hard. Don't just work bloody hard, work smart, and the way that you will be more effective at work is by taking a break and the tonic like I just described. You will come back, my friend, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, you will have replenished your sort of mental energies, and I talk honestly from experience. And if you're going out once, perhaps twice a week for 3 hours, don't go to the gym every fucking day. Go out into the streets a couple of times a week, and then, as I say, have a lot of fun over the weekend and perhaps find a wingman. Okay, so that is the times of day. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, okay, over this 18 months, how many girls will actually need to approach in order to sort of break through the glass ceiling, the socially conditioned glass ceiling that it is wrong to approach girls during the daytime. I mean, now that I've got the experience, it just makes me laugh when the further and further I go on this journey, the more I smile at guys who come up to me and say, yeah, but you know, I feel it's a bit wrong or a bit weird. I mean, you know, the world is arse about tits on this front. What could be more natural as a man than to go up to an attractive girl during the daytime and, you know, in a calibrated, intelligent way, to pay her a compliment and see if she's amenable to have a little bit of a conversation and, you know, to have a man flirt with her. And if she is, go for it. There really is nothing weird about this. There is certainly something weird about you know, disappearing down the subterranean Tinder hole, and I also think, quite frankly, it's a bit weird hooking up with girls electronically. You know, you can't fuck a profile, can you? You can't fuck an electronic profile. You can't have a proper conversation with someone, and you learn so much about someone through a first physical meeting. I mean, I think you probably have got to get into 4 figures. I guess a reasonable target within 18 months, I think, would be 1,000 approaches. You think about it, if you're going out 3 times a week, 52 weeks a year, let's say you make 5 approaches, that's 15 times 52. What's that? Well, sort of, what's that? 750, isn't it? So, and that's just 5 approaches each session. So, 18 months, 1,000 approaches. That is I think, a reasonably realistic total. So perhaps somewhere between 500 and 1,000. And magical things will happen, believe me, whether you know, unless you are a total robotic nutcase, making that many approaches of itself will largely get you the results, the significant results that you want. Next thing here is, should you do coaching? Should you find wingmen? Well, I think when you are starting any project, you need a lot of energy at the beginning. And the big danger you need to look out for here is going at something half-cocked. The world and his wife are all doing things half-cocked. They're all making New Year's resolutions to go down the gym, and they go down the gym once, perhaps twice a week, and then when they're there, they don't really commit to working out. You know, one big way to generating real traction, commitment in something, is to get yourself a coach. And getting yourself, if you can afford it, a personal coach in a gym is excellent. Don't be a proud, arrogant fuckwit and say, I don't need help, I don't need a coach. I mean, I bet if you interviewed the most famous sportsmen in the world, they would all give you an example of one person, one coach that's been absolutely critical to their success. If you can afford it, what's your problem? Yeah. A boot camp is what I did, and I felt that I saw this problem very clearly, and if you're a mature dude, you too will see this, is, you know, from past experience of embarking on any sort of fresh endeavour in your life, that you know, there is a need for something of a launch pad to get you going. And that's why I chose to do a boot camp, and it really was like a rocket fuel. It was like the, you know, those big fuel rockets that go alongside a space shuttle that launch you through the atmosphere. You need that initially. You need to get launched in through the atmosphere, and so I do. And I know there are plenty of guys out there who, you know, are remarkably successful just from watching some YouTube videos. But most guys, I do recommend you find yourself something of a launch pad to basically guarantee that you do get through, you do get out of those starting blocks. Yeah. You're going to probably going to ask me, well, who? Well, that is a good question. Email me if you are interested in me recommending coaches and boot camps and so on, because you've got the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to that. Wing. I mean, again, same thing. I went on a boot camp, and then a boot camp is just a one-off, isn't it? Maybe you do a few of them, but you can't afford to do a year's worth of boot camps every other weekend, or have a coach by your side every week. So you need to find a good wingman. You need to, after that initial approach, initial period to keep you going, you do need to find buddies. You need to talk to buddies, swap war stories with buddies, reflect on your progress with buddies, because you do need that sounding board to stop you becoming this mechanical approach machine who ends up being arrested. So I think finding dudes is actually really important, and for a lot of you out there, particularly perhaps the introverts, that's going to take a bit of a mental step up for you. You're going to get out your comfort zone and go out there and meet a few dudes until you find a couple of wingmen who are right for you. Kaching, plugging my book, Too Late Mate. I do cover the importance of this after the boot camp. It was a critical time for me, and I was lucky enough to find a couple of regular Joes, similar age bracket to me, slightly younger, and they really helped me through difficult periods. I'm incredibly grateful for that summer after my first boot camp, when I did have some wing buddies. Now, here's the thing. After that stage, I've really not been out with wingmen much. I mean, perhaps 10% of the time. Once you get into it, it is a lone activity. It's not like going out at night, partying and clubbing with a group of guys. It is a solo. You are flying solo, and just as in the case of an aeroplane analogy, you might have buddies initially. Eventually, you're going to have to learn to do it on your own and to go out solo. So there it is. I did say that I would give you a little sort of special traction tip in order to get you going, and here it is. Go on record. Yeah. What do I mean by going on record? I mean, for example, as I did at the beginning of my 52 First Dates project, actually raising the possibility with Tom Torero, actually, whilst we were on a ski trip in the mountains, of doing a YouTube channel and actually doing posts of all the dates. Now, that's, at the top of the range of what it means to go on record. Interestingly, I didn't, in a way, need to make like a proper resolve, a proper commitment. It wasn't like an epiphany moment. It was just simply having that conversation with a buddy who then basically pushed me into it. And he did a podcast, credit to him, and I appeared on one of his podcasts. We did it on the train on the way back from the ski trip, in which he announced to the world this project that I'd embarked upon. After that, social embarrassment meant I had to go through it. And so there are a number of different ways of making sure that you are going to see it through. You've got some real follow through, and you may think that the only people who are successful in life are like supermen who just had this epiphany and this an amazing iron resolve and just kept on going. No, that's probably not true. They will have done something like I'm talking about. They'll have just simply gone on record and created this sort of sense of commitment. So it might be as simple as talking to buddies, and I went on holiday with a buddy just last week, a few other guys, and he wants to learn flying, I want to learn Polish, and we've agreed that whoever gets there first has to buy the other a holiday over a 2-year period. And we did it in the company of other dudes, and the other dudes are going to hold us to this bargain, And now we're both like, oh fuck, we've now got to go through with this, and he's got to fly solo before I can have a proper conversation in Polish and vice versa. Now you see how that actually creates a lot of energy, and that actually creates a sense of commitment in you. So I do encourage you in some way, shape or form to go on record so that you are accountable for, not for achieving success, because as we know, the fear of failure is often what leads us to not starting in the first place, but simply to do what is absolutely achievable, which is, you know, in my case, to go on 52 first dates over a year, 18-month period. I didn't do it. I didn't achieve 52 first dates. I achieved 36 or 38 because I had so many second and third dates. But it was enough. It wasn't about the success. It was about actually creating this program for myself where I did actually go out regularly and I did get dates on a routine basis. Okay, so I will wrap up there. This is, you know, the start of a new year, and I know everybody talks about New Year's resolutions and then in a few weeks they fall flat on their faces. Well, don't, you know, rush into it. Make sure you have got the resources, both financial and time-wise, and that this is the right time for you, and that, you know, the stars are aligned and there's sort of a ripeness and readiness in terms of you and your affairs. And, you know, strap on your balls, take the whole of January to reflect on this, and by the end of the month, commit. Yeah? All right. Buy my books, you bastards. Stay tuned. Speak to you next week.